Welcome back. Assume for a moment, or imagine for a moment, that you are a student who has just entered my classroom for the very first day of the semester. Welcome to Animal Sciences 438 Lactation Biology. How are you feeling at that initial moment? My suspicion is that, just like your students, you're feeling a little bit stressed, anxious, a lot of uncertainty. What's going to be happening in this semester? What is the instructor going to be asking of me? What am I going to have to do? How do I pass? Etc., etc. Lots of anxiety. At that moment, what would you want to know about your module, about that module, at that moment, right now? And not only what would you want to know, but how should you, the student, have access to that information? And the answer, of course, is the syllabus. So we want to spend some time talking about the syllabus. You need to have a syllabus for each of the modules that you teach. So what is included in the syllabus? And a lot of this you can come up with on your own. I'm just reminding you of things you probably already know, but we're going to give you a structure here. And by the way, this is the same template, the same format in your PDF handouts, and you want to use that template later on to start your own syllabus. Clearly the module name and number, so in my case it would be ANSC 438 Lactation Biology. Semester and year. What semester is it? Fall, spring, whatever the case may be. What year is it? And by the way, let me point something out here. This reminds me. When you design a module to begin with, or you're redesigning a module, you want to make sure you put a lot of time and effort into getting that syllabus ready. However, if you're teaching that same module again the following year, the following semester, you do not have to redo everything from the beginning. You can just change a few things if you have not made major changes to your module. So once you do it, and that initial effort can then be useful as you go along to additional semesters. Units or credit hours, instructor's name and contact information. How are they going to be able to get a hold of you? And then office hours. Let me take just a moment to talk about office hours. So I realize that a lot of you aren't that familiar with this concept of office hours. You need to have a place and a time during the week when you are available to your students. Wherever that is on campus, whatever times that is, that you're available to your students. And you need to indicate, be very explicit in that when you write this out, when and where you're going to be accessible to your students. Perhaps it's from 9 to 11 a.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays in room such and such, whatever the case may be. But you need to have that because your students need to have access to you outside of the classroom for a variety of reasons. They don't want to wait for you at the end of class. Maybe there's another set of students coming in for another class. They do not have time to talk to you. Maybe they have questions that really aren't appropriate for asking in that in-classroom environment. So you need to make sure that happens. Prerequisites for your module. Are there courses that they should have taken before they take yours and are required, necessary? And then a description, an overview and description, a paragraph. That's all you need is a paragraph, number of sentences describing your module, the content, and how it's going to be taught. That's, again, a paragraph. You don't have to write a page or a book, but a nice paragraph describing what it's all about. And then we get back to Bloom's taxonomy and those learning goals, because you want to explicitly indicate to the students. Students will be able to, or at the end of the semester, students will be able to, learning objective 1, 2, 3, however many you have, and you're going back to Bloom's taxonomy again. We've hammered on this a number of times in other videos. Your learning goals for your module, they need to be explicitly stated in your syllabus. List any required readings or resources, texts, other readings, videos, whatever resources they may have, and other optional recommended readings or other learning resources. Things that maybe, it'd be nice if you read this, but it's not a requirement. Go ahead and list those. And then very, very importantly, assignments and grading, exams, quizzes, etc. You want to set up a table very similar to this that indicates the assignment. What is it? Midterm exam, term paper, whatever. the point value, and then again, importantly down here, what's the total points? So you may have 5 or 6 things here. Maybe that includes what you call participation points over here, whatever. In my module, my course that I teach in lactation biology, I have about 25 things that they can get points from, totaling up to 1,000. So each of those things, with a few exceptions, there's a few projects that are worth 10% of the total here, but most of them are 10 to 40 points or something like that. Whatever yours is, it needs to be explicitly stated what the assignment is and what point value is, and then you need to describe how do you determine the letter grade, the final grade. Is determined by point value, percentage. How are you going to do that? 1, 2 sentences is fine. And then any major assignments. So if there's a term paper, you need to have a brief description of what that's going to be like for the student. How is the student going to be expected to perform in terms of that major assignment? And then policies. Policies like extra credit. Do you give extra credit? And if so, then how would they get that extra credit? Some additional work beyond what's normally required in the course. Participation policy. So if you give participation points, what constitutes actual participation? What is your expectation of students so they know what's expected of them? Attendance policies and in-class expectations. Turning up late for class, is that acceptable? Is that not acceptable? You need to state that in your syllabus. Turning in assignments late, again, respect for other students, use of technology during class time. Are you going to allow them to use their cell phones during class, checking their email or whatever, or are you going to say no technology whatsoever? Be explicit. Now, a word here, a thought. When I did a lot of lecturing, I wanted my students to be paying attention to me, like I hope you are now. Even though I know some of you are working on your laptops, I'm sure you are, or checking your cell phone. That's what you want to think about. What I came to realize is that in a lot of cases, students actually are using their technology as it's available to them, things related to the course. So now it just depends. If there's something that I really want them to pay attention to me, I'll say, okay, put your laptops away, turn your cell phones off. For the next 20 minutes, pay attention to me, and they'll do that. Otherwise, I try to integrate use of technology into those assignments. A crossword puzzle, a concept map, if they don't know what a word is, use your technology to look it up. That's fine. You can do that. But again, you need to be explicit in these kinds of expectations in class and attendance and so on. And then general policies like student conduct, plagiarism, academic dishonesty, exam policies, etc. Some of these are going to be replicating what your university does. And if your university does not have these, they should have them. All right? You may modify those a little bit. You may extend them a little bit. Certainly exam policies may be more individual to your module, but you need to have these stated in your syllabus. So the students have it, they have that copy of that right in front of them. And then a schedule for every session that you're going to meet. So each week, day and date, what's the topic going to be that you're going to probably address during that time frame, any readings that they may be needing to finish before they come to class that day, assignments and activities, and then what's due. They need to know what those due dates are. So again, I did not replicate that here on the slide because it'd be way too big. But these are the kinds of columns that you need in your table to fill out so that students know what to expect. Some general thoughts about a syllabus. It sets the tone for the semester. And some people talk about it as a contract between you and the students. I give you this document, I'm saying to you, my students, this is what you can expect from me in this course, in this module. This is what I expect from you. It's, in that sense, a contract. But you want to be careful in how you think about that. You don't want to overemphasize this in terms of how they might be penalized. So don't make the tone of the thing saying, well, if you don't learn this, if you don't do this, if you always show up late for class, you're going to get penalized. You want to be more positive than that. So consider making a promise to your student. And this gets us right back to learning objectives. So think about writing, as a result of this module, you will be able to X. When you walk out of here 15 weeks from now, you're going to be able to do things that you could not do today on the first day of the session, of the semester. And then give them an invitation to actively engage in the learning process. I do this sometimes. Hi, welcome. I'm inviting you to join me in this journey over the next 15 weeks, and we're going to learn all sorts of things about lactation biology. And at the end of the semester, you will be able to say it. Invite them to come along with you on that journey. So those are just some general thoughts about syllabus. So what I want you to do is to consider and discuss this question. Yes, you give them that document, the syllabus. You need to make it available some other way, whether online or some other way to them if they lose that document. But how can you encourage them to read the syllabus and make sure that it stays relevant to the module throughout that semester? That's a key question. How are you going to do that? Otherwise, they get that piece of paper, that document, put it in their backpack and never look at it again. So think about some ways that they might find that relevant. Some of those ways, just to give you some thoughts on that, are for you to, on first day of the semester, talk about specific things in the syllabus. Please, please do not read it word for word all the way through. No, no, no. Find a couple of key things, 3 or 4 key points, and say, okay, this is your schedule. Notice that next week we're going to be doing X. Those kinds of things. Another way is to ask 3 or 4 of the students to pick certain parts of the syllabus, and then the next session they come in, spend 2 minutes saying, okay, this is what the syllabus is saying. So you get their perspective on what you actually wrote in your syllabus. I oftentimes give them a quiz at the very beginning of the semester. It's a very low point, like 10 points, something like that. And part of that quiz comes directly out of the syllabus. So the only way they can answer those things is to have read the syllabus. So I'm sure that they've at least looked through it, hopefully read it as well. So there's a variety of ways to make sure that they pay attention to that syllabus. Another thing to do is make sure that during the semester you keep going back to that syllabus. So 3 weeks into the course, you may say, hey, take your syllabus out, let's look at that schedule. Notice that next week such and such is due, or next week we're going to be shifting our topic and we're going to be talking about something else. So it reminds them that this is a relevant document throughout the entire 15-week period. You also then have an assignment, and that is to take the document from your PDF handout and use that template to actually start filling in the blanks, constructing your syllabus for your module. So you want to do that. That's a good opportunity to get started in doing that for whatever the module is you're designing or redesigning. Good luck.